G'day crew, and welcome to the final episode from the last fishing expedition. In this episode I'm going to go through all the things that I haven't mentioned and reiterate some of the things that I have mentioned about trolling for mackerel in Moreton Bay. I'm going to show you all the spots that I know, and of course I'm going to pick up the crab pots and show you that you can still catch decent crabs in the middle of winter. And I'll show you how I do that too. So let's get on with it. Now, I'll just start off by saying that if you're going to catch crabs while you're out fishing, you need to start early. Get them in before first light if you can, or shortly after first light if you can't. If you're getting them in mid-morning, forget it, you're wasting your time. So, first thing about crabbing, at any time, particularly in midwinter, get them in early. I'm just going to mix the video up a bit. Before we get into the crabbing too much, I'm going to talk a little bit about the mackerel trolling gear. I did finally get over to Mr. Bates to pick up a new orange board to replace one of the ones that I've lost. I'll show you how I set that up in a minute. But I took some pictures while I was there of the trolling boards that he does have available, and we'll just run through them a little bit first. Mr. Bates sells these, I've always known them as paravanes, but they're labelled trolling boards here. So anyway, they're the delta-shaped ones. And I have used them in the past. I've never had any of Mr. Bates that have been pre-rigged, and I've never had much success with them. I suspect because I just haven't had them rigged right. Because once I got onto Spiro's article and started rigging the trolling boards that I use the way he said, then I started to catch mackerel. So I've got a couple of these laying around. I haven't used them in many years. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. They probably work perfectly the way Frank rigs them. I just never found the secret of getting them rigged right to catch mackerel. So anyway, that's the first set of trolling boards that you can buy. The white trolling board you see in this picture is the Yamashita clone that's made by Ocean Stream. It's not an exact clone, but it's quite similar. I have never used these. I've used the Yamashita ones, they're quite good. If these work the same, they'll be quite good as well. But as I say, haven't used them. But if you buy one that Frank's rigged up, I'm sure it'll be rigged up correctly to get the best possible outcome from it. These orange boards are the ones that I prefer to use these days. You can get them in 5 metre, 8 metre and 10 metre diving boards. You probably get other depths as well, but they're the only ones I've ever seen there. If you want something other than those depths, ask Frank, maybe they're around. But in any event, I love these boards. They're really easy to use, pre-rigged, and all you've got to do is replace the line to the spoons from time to time if they get rubbed on anything or get a bit old. The spoons come in all sorts of sizes, but for the school mackerel I find that the 3-inch spoon works the best. I have caught them on the 4-inch spoon. I've never used anything larger than that. But if you're chasing Spanish or something else out wide, then probably try the bigger spoon. Or go with a hard body, which most people seem to use these days. But this is about mackerel trolling, so I stick with the 3-inch spoon, and whether you get the silver spoon or get one with a flash of colour on the back, I really don't think it makes that much difference. I do admit that colour makes a difference with some lures, but with the spoons, I don't find that it makes much of a difference at all. I catch them no matter what the colour is. On this last trip, I had a red and a green one out, and they both caught mackerel at the same rate. Anyhow, that covers the gear that you're going to want to use, or at least your terminal tackle and your trolling board. I use the ones from Mr. Bait because they work well for me. They're rigged nicely. Although in the past, before I discovered these, I used the Yamashita boards, rigged them up as I've said in my first video, and they work very well as well. You can get them from other tackle shops. I'm not sure about the quality of those though, but I can recommend Mr. Bates. These are the Delta type trolling boards that I had, and I never did much good with them. They're a little bit different. This one's got 5 holes along there, and this one's got 6 holes. So I didn't realise that until just looking at them now. But yeah, they're a little bit different, and never did any good with them, probably because I never had them just rigged just right. So I will be taking them off and reusing these handles at some stage, but what we're here for is this. I did get over to Mr. Bait and I got a new trolling board to replace the one that I'd lost. Get it off this. He does put them in nice little Ziploc bags, so you can take it out and reseal it if you want to. But I do find that that's just a little bit awkward to keep reusing that all the time. I mentioned in another video, I buy these from Bunnings. They're for keeping builders' string lines on. They're cheap as chips really, and you can wind these on it. Nice, neat, easy place to keep them. They come with a protector on the barb of the hook. Don't forget to remove that because you're not going to catch anything with that on. We'll find it a bit difficult to remove too, because the hook is a barb, tends to want to hang on to it. So you just lay the board there and come around there. The fishing line that you're wrapping around it holds the board in place. And that's it. You can put that away. And I suppose you could fit another one on the bottom if you really wanted to. And I keep them in these bags. I think my wife buys pillowcases in these. And I've ended up with a few of them because the pillows on our bed keep breeding like rabbits until they're nearly covering the bed. But it does give me plenty of these cases to keep my fishing tackle in, my trolling boards in. And they're not watertight, but they are clip seal, and they keep the average splash out of it. Keeps it from getting wet, stops things from rusting, and works out really good. And you can fit 2 of these trolling boards in there. I've got to get another one. I'll probably get an 8-inch and put that in there as well. 8-metre board, and put that in there as well. And then I'll have a full complement of boards on board again. I'll just cover these spots in the bay that I know you can catch mackerel. Now some of these spots I've trolled and caught mackerel there, other spots I've floated pillies out and caught mackerel there. I haven't caught mackerel on the troll in all of these spots. There's a couple of the spots I haven't fished personally but I've been told about. I'll mention them when I get to them. Other than that, I've caught mackerel there at some point, whether on pillies or on trolling. And if you can catch them on the pillies, I expect you'd get them there on trolling. But they're not there all the time, so you've got to go and determine if they're there on the day. The first spot I'll mention is that patch of reef between Cleveland Point and Wellington Point. It goes all along that area. It's a little bit patchy, but there's a reefy area all along there. If you're staying about 6 or 7 metres of water, you're off the edge of the reef and about where the mackerel seem to be. I've caught them floating pillies out in the past. Not that many of them, but you get the odd one there. And last time I was out, I did see what appeared to be a reasonable show of mackerel on the sounder. I put some footage of that in the previous video. You can have a look at that. I think it's near the end of the video if you want. I didn't troll because I was already bagged out, but I think I could have picked up some mackerel had I trolled there. Anyhow, I throw this one in as one place to look. If you don't see them on the sounder, they're not there. Hybris Beacon has provided some really good fishing in the past, although lately when I've tried it, there's only been smaller fish there. I have caught mackerel there, floating a pilly out. I haven't trolled around it, so worth having a look. Usually a lot of boats around there, so it might be a bit awkward to troll, but if you're out there midweek, it might pay to just have a look around it. If you're going to anchor up and fish and float something out, stay within about 100 metres of the beacon. That seems to be the sweet spot. But again, I say it's pretty hit and miss. I've never really figured out what tide to fish it or anything like that. You either get them or you don't. The next spot is around the Mayora area of the Rainbow Channel. I've caught them there floating pillies out, but I've never had any success on the troll. Now that's just me, I think. I never have a lot of success in the Rainbow Channel. But they're certainly around the Mayora area. If you can catch them on pillies, you should be able to get them on the troll. Again, a lot of boats in that area, so use good judgment about whether you troll it or not, and don't get too close to the other boats. As for the rest of the Rainbow Channel, yes, there are mackerel there. Yes, I have caught a few mackerel, not too many, on the troll, and I've caught a few bonito on the troll. I've also caught them floating pillies out, and it's a long time ago, but I reckon I've probably caught more floating pillies out than I have trolling in the Rainbow Channel. But again, I think that's just me. The Rainbow Channel doesn't like me, not when it comes to trolling. Great for all sorts of bait fishing, not for trolling. This is the area around near the South Passage bar that you can troll for mackerel. It's inside the bar. It can get quite rough there just the same, but it is inside the bar. You don't have to cross the bar. Clear of the green zone so long as you stay off the shallows on those banks, and you'll often turn up mackerel there. It's sort of my go-to spot. If I'm trying the Rainbow Channel or the Rouse and I don't pick up anything much there, I'll go on to the troll inside the South Passage bar. Here's a couple of spots that produced well in the last video and have also produced well in the past, and that is trolling along that reef on the northeast side of Peel in about 6-7 metres of water, and also around in the mouth of the Lazarette. Can be anywhere in the mouth of the Lazarette, but in that last trip I just went round and round the red buoy and just picked up one after another. I've also landed my biggest bay mackerel just out of the mouth of the Lazarette. And just north of Peel, up along the Naval Banks and those two green beacons that you can see, I've also caught some mackerel on the troll in that area. Again, stay up in some deeper water, say 7 to 12 metres of water. And this is just a general overview of the areas that I troll in this particular location. Up past the Naval Banks and Marine Banks, all the way up to the point just before you turn onto Harry's. Also troll around Harry's during the week if there's not too many baits there. Waste of time trying to do that on the weekend. And over to the Hope Banks. Hope Banks have been very productive for me. I've caught them both to the south and to the north of the Hope Bank beacon. But I think it's fair to say that the southern side of the Hope Bank has been the better performer for me. I've caught more fish on the southern side than the northern side. Although when I'm trolling there, I usually go around both sides. This area here, at the entrance to the Rouse, I haven't actually fished it and I haven't actually caught mackerel there, but on several occasions when I've been on my way to somewhere else, I've gone into the Rouse or come out of the Rouse and seen the sounder lit up with fish in that area. Don't know what they were, but there was a heap of them there. I do suspect mackerel, just from the way they looked, but since I didn't catch any, I can't be sure. Certainly doesn't happen all the time. I've been in and out of that entrance more times without seeing them than I have with, but as I say, a few times it's actually just lit up with fish there. This first image is a mark that I have on the Rouse knob in fish tracks, where I have caught mackerel in the past. The next image is the general area that I do troll, and I've caught mackerel sort of all around that area. I have to say that out of all the areas I've trolled, the most productive areas that I've found have been the Rouse Knob, the Lazarette Gutter, the Hope Banks, and the shipping channel up along Moreton. The area here, just outside the entrance to the small ships channel into the Rouse, is not too bad. I've caught some mackerel here. Not as good as some of the other areas that I've mentioned, but not too bad either. And when the mackerel are really in season, I often see boats anchored up there floating pillies out, so I suspect they're chasing the mackerel as well. And this is the area of the measured mile beacons along the shipping channel or just out past the shipping channel. I haven't actually trolled this area, but I have fished it with baits and slugs just near the beacons themselves. They produce mackerel, skill mackerel all year round, but if the mackerel are there, trolling it should also work. So if you're looking to have a troll and you're going out past that area, might pay to just drop the boards over and see what's there. Now this is the bottom of the Peel Channel. I've caught mackerel on the bottom of the Peel Channel, but I'm told you can catch mackerel all the way through the Peel Channel. I've only just ever caught them on the bottom. So if you're up in that area, have a troll through the Peel Channel, see what you can turn up. And this is the area of Shark Spit that I troll. Pulled mackerel out of there. Often see the spotty mackerel busting up when it's the right time of year as well in that area. But you can troll skillies there all year round, and you can often come up with some other surprising catches from that area. I haven't done it, but I've heard of cobia and queenfish and all sorts of things being caught off Shark Spit. It's a bit of a trip, so I generally tend to troll a little bit closer. I only go over that far occasionally. Here's a couple of spots up off Moreton where I've actually trolled and caught mackerel. more or less in the shipping channels up there. I've also pulled some small tuna, and particularly mac tuna, from that area. It's a long trip up, but I've usually done pretty good up there. These are the shipping channels through the bay. They're marked on your maps and on your GPS. There's plenty of beacons there to identify them. The beacons are very productive areas all around those beacons, but generally in the edges of the shipping channels as well is often worth a try. But if you're really into just catching the fish as quickly as you can, concentrate on the beacon. Floating baits out and trolling don't go hand in hand, so if there's a lot of boats around trying to float baits out, find another beacon to troll on. And finally, there's this whole area of yellow that you can troll in the centre of the bay. The green areas are green zones, don't troll into them. And I wouldn't target them for trolling just going out in my trailer boat and trolling through it. It's a big area, and chances of coming across fish in any concentration aren't good. You should target areas where there's a bit of structure on the bottom if you're looking for skilled mackerel. But if I'm going through there in a slower boat, I'll throw the trolling line out, because you never know just what you turn up, and quite often you'll pick up a feed just going through there, although it is very hit and miss. So as I say, not an area to target, but if you're going through in a slower boat, certainly give it a go. And that's it for the video. Between the last 3 episodes, I think I've told you everything that I know about catching mackerel in the bay, trolling that is. As you can see, it's quite an effective method of catching them. Once you find where they are, it's pretty easy to bag out, although they do spread out all around the bay, and sometimes finding them is the hard part. Nevertheless, I do enjoy just trolling around on the water at low speed. I find it very relaxing. So if you're one of those people too, get out there and give it a go. Until then, good fishing.